Cool, we're getting to the end of this first leg of our journey. Got a couple things to do. So let's now work on making a gradient behind our line right here. So what we'll do, we'll add a configuration first. And we'll say line gradient equals true. And then we'll come down here. And we kind of want to put this behind everything else. So we'll just put this here after our axes. So we'll say line gradient and render and we'll go ahead and say data, and data.length is greater than 0, and line gradient and render line gradient. Come up here, collapse these guys, const render line gradient. Okay. Now what we're going to need to do is in our depths, we're going to need to define another linear gradient. And this is going to have an ID of fill, shadow, gradient, units, user, space, on use. We'll say x1 equals 0, y1 equals 0, x2 equals 0, y2 equals container height. We'll say stop, offset equals 0, stop color, let's just start out with green, we'll make it configurable. Stop opacity equals 0.3. And one more stop, offset equals 1. Stop color equals yellow. Stop opacity equals 0.8. Or just 0.8. Alright. So we're going to render this thing. We need to get our path. And we're going to have to modify it a little bit. Say dpath plus equals. We're going to use a backtick. We're going to say L. I'm going to say container width minus margin. I think that's what we want. X. Or X margin, sorry. And then we're going to need a container height. Basically, we have to close the path because it's going to have this. What we need to do is get this part of it and then get it to close everything up and then put the gradient inside of all that. That's why I'm putting it behind everything else over here. Otherwise, you won't be able to see the line anymore because the gradient is going to be overtaking it. So container height minus Y margin and then we need another L with the X margin and container height minus Y margin, and then we're going to put a Z on the end of it. Perfect. Return path D equals D path. fill equals backtick URL with the hashtag fill shadow. That's our ID right here. And a stroke width equal to 0. And look at that. We get a pretty linear gradient. Now let's make that configurable. Let's split this. Come up here. And we'll grab some crazy colors from our color picker here in a minute. We will just say we want stop 1 and stop 2. You can give as many stops as you want. I'm thinking 2 is going to be fine. We'll say offset 0, stop color green, stop opacity 0.3. Put these over here. Let's get some nice colors. Say 0.8. This needs to be 1 equal sign. Sorry about that. And here we will say line gradient config dot stop 1 dot offset. Dot stop 1 dot stop color dot stop 1 dot stop opacity. And we'll just copy this stop, replace this stop with that one. Change everything to stop 2. And that is not too bad. Let's go play with our configuration a little bit. Doesn't really look like our stop opacity. Let's try 0 on this. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're having a lot of love here, does it? Our colors definitely took. But there should be like a, oh look, offset of 1. Sorry. Stop. 111 2 dot offset 222. Yep, I think that might do us. Hey, now we're getting somewhere. 0.3. And maybe if I take this and lighten this up a little bit. Take out that first hashtag. That's a little better. It's a little better. Maybe 0.2. We could even maybe flip them, but I kind of liking the way that works. And you can adjust all your colors. So we have gradients. Everything's configurable. It's a beautiful day. That was pretty simple, although it took 10 minutes. Now let's add in some horizontal lines and some vertical lines, and then we'll come back and do some tooltips in the next videos.